The work crews were able to transform 4 asteroids into stealth weapons before they ran out of materials. They returned to their starships. All but one vessel departed the scene. The lone starship maintained a silent vigil over the stealth asteroids, knowing that if they lost track of one for even a moment, they might never find it again. In the distance, Suth Casa Station and the Sutherian homeworld appeared as little more than white dots. Chapter 16. Jailbreak. Warden Aquila and his men tried to knock down the door a second time. "We only want the boy! Do not resist!" the hostile voice shouted through the door. Panico, Rulan, and Cantor broke up from their huddle. Panico moved toward Trig and his mother. "The 2 of you are going to stay close to me," Panico said. "My team is working on a way out." "I can't escape from prison," Kara protested. "I've only got 5 years left on my sentence. They'll put me away forever. Or maybe even sell me to MSI. "I know all about Alex Camber and how he operates," Panico replied. "Trust me, he does not care in the slightest about how close you are to being released." Trig noticed that Panico's jacket seemed to be visibly lighter, as though something had been removed. Cantor and Rulan stacked up against the door. Cantor was holding a sealed metal container, the type normally used to carry hot beverages. Rulan was clutching a flexible tube that was attached to a small LCD screen by an electric cable. Rulan knelt down and fed one end of the tube into the crack between door and floor. "Optiwand out," Cantor said. He peered at the pocket-sized LCD screen. "I see 5 hostiles, armed with... Oh, guys, you're gonna love this. They've got gel guns, non-lethal weapons. They're waiting for a colleague to show up with the skeleton key." Cantor withdrew the Optiwand from the door. "Gel guns?" Trig asked. "They're meant for riot control," Kara explained. "They're not strong enough to kill anyone, but they'll totally mess you up. Try to avoid getting shot in the face." Kara stood up from the table and kicked it over. Then she hid behind it. "These guys want to take us alive," Rulan said. "We can use that to our advantage," Cantor added. "How?" Trig raised his voice. "We're cornered, and there's got to be like 100 guards in this place." There was a loud bang as someone tried to force the door from the other side. Rulan put his shoulder to the door and held it in place. Cantor gestured at Panico. "I think it's time you found out why I let this old guy join us in the field," Cantor said. "Mr. Panico, why not show off some of that technology you got from the Horde?" "I'd love to," Panico replied. "What technology?" Trig shouted. "They searched us when we came in. They took everything." The corners of Panico's mouth twitched, and his beard crinkled, giving away a hidden smile. "Nagyari tech is different from the stuff you're used to," Panico said. "They build their tech from, let's say, different materials." "Here they come," Rulan said, gesturing at the door. "Young Shepminter, I strongly recommend you get in cover." Looking around, Trig saw that Captain Cantor, Rulan, and his mother were all trying to hide behind the upended table. He did a double take. Panico was clearly unarmed. The old man stood defiantly in the center of the room, blocking the path from the doorway to Sarah and Trig. There was a loud latching sound, and the door swung open. Warden Aquila and 4 Olenbar guards entered the visitation chamber, pointing their gel guns at Panico, since he was the closest to their position. Panico sidestepped, placing himself directly between the warden and Trig. "Really?" the warden said. "You know Camber's looking for this kid, right? And the girl he's running away with. Word on the interlink is that they've got something that belongs to him. The girl stole it from Alex a few days back. Stole something very valuable. You should be helping us, not standing in the way." "Perhaps you did not get the message 13 years ago," Panico replied coolly. "I quit the Horde. I deserted, abandoned my post. If anyone from the Horde were here today, they would call me a traitor. So, no, I am not going to help Camber. In fact, I'm surprised he was trusted with a keystone shard in the first place. He has to pretend someone stole it just to hide the fact that one of his lackeys got careless with it. Warden Aquila lost his temper. He aimed his gel gun at Ponico's head, then barked, "Fine then, I'll hand you over to Camber as well." "You're welcome to try, my blue friend," Ponico said, "but I will warn you now. Spending your ammunition on me is a very ill-advised course of action. If I am still standing by the time your guns are empty, well, it won't be pretty." Aquila snarled, "Enough of this! Drop him!" All 5 Olenbar opened fire, the sound of their gel guns echoing around the chamber like cannon blasts. Trig screamed in terror, then dove for the floor, putting his hands over the back of his head. The gunfire raged on for a few chaotic seconds, thundering about the room and causing the floor to vibrate beneath Trig's body. At the last second, Trig dared to look up. His vision slid into focus for the last 1.5 seconds of gunfire, and what he saw was incredible. Ponico was standing stock still in front of the 5 prison guards, all of whom were emptying their weapons into his body. Blue spheres shot out of the gel guns, passed through Ponico's body, and through it, as though it was just a hologram, and then splattered harmlessly against the far wall. Just as Trig laid eyes on this unbelievable scene, the gunfire stopped. Aquila and his fellow guards had run out of ammunition. Ponico unfolded his arms, and his beard crinkled as a wicked smile appeared beneath it. "And now," Ponico sighed, "it's my turn." It is very difficult to describe in words what happened next, because Trig simply did not understand what he was seeing. A black cloud seemed to just erupt from Ponico's body. It lunged forward and enveloped the guards. From the swirling mass of smoke, Trig could hear Aquila and his compatriots screaming in some kind of agony. They wailed and begged for the pain to stop. The sound of it made Trig feel sick. He found he could not move. Someone seized Trig about the middle and compelled him into action. "Time to roll!" Captain Cantor yelled. "On my mark, follow Ponico!" Trig, Cantor, Rulan, and Kara raced through the halls and corridors of the prison ship Grand Historia. Trig craned his neck frantically, trying to look around and spot any additional guards before they could become a threat, but none ever appeared. At least, none appeared on their feet. Over the course of the escape, that strange black cloud blazed a trail ahead of the group, and as it moved on, it left behind incapacitated guards. These men were always rolling on the floor, writhing in pain as though they were being tortured by some invisible force. "Make it stop!" one of the guards begged as Trig ran past. "I'll do anything, just stop hurting me!" After a few moments, the group reached the airlock. Rulan pushed a button on the control panel and called the resonance cascade, asking someone to open the airlock from the other side. Meanwhile, Trig took one last look around. "Wait, where's Ponico?" Trig cried out. "There," Kara responded. She pointed to a dark corner some 20 meters down the corridor. Again, Trig simply did not understand what he was seeing. As far as he could tell, Ponico simply walked out of the shadows in such a way that the shadows themselves faded out of existence. This description made no sense, but in Trig's opinion, that was what happened. "So now we know the truth," Ponico said. "The Khan's chosen are active once more. Alex is telling them his keystone shard was stolen by Miss Honora. Captain Cantor, I think we should get to the homeworld and visit Manius right away." "I could not agree more," Cantor replied as the airlock opened behind him. Manius? Isn't that the fortune teller you mentioned? Trig asked. Yes, he is, Ponico answered. Manius will help us figure out our next steps.